neighborhood qualifying psychotherapist here, Dinsdale from Multi-Therapy. Welcome, everybody. Today, I am floating in space, as you can see. I am really wanting to talk about today something very unique, and perhaps it's something you've never really considered, but it is all about existential crises. Now, what is that exactly? It is something that we can all experience where we're basically questioning the unavoidable facts of human existence, basically. So sometimes we can have an existential crisis about, your freedom. It's like, do I have any freedom in life? Maybe it's about isolation, feeling alone, even though you're in a room full of people. Yeah, existential dread is a very common experience that we have. So let's talk about it. Hi, David. Good morning. How are you doing? I'm good. I think I'm a little bit sick today, but I'm drinking my maple coffee, so I'm feeling a little bit better now. I got this little guy in my mug. I just recently got him. If you recognize him, I'll give you a special therapist point. Today's topic, existential crisis. I'll give you a little bit more detail about what exactly that is. So we talked about the unavoidable facts of human existence. It's less about like a specific problem, for example, losing a job, and more about a profound feeling of almost disorientation related to these big questions, kind of more like philosophical things. I need some full fat cola, David. Do you think that'll cure my sickness? Maybe, just maybe. I think they used to call Coca-Cola medicine back in the day. Back when they were putting some interesting ingredients in there. I'm sure you're aware of that, eh? Got any facts for me, David? Well, David's coming up with the fact of the day. Let's talk about some examples of existential crisis. So, for example, meaning. What is the point of my life? Why am I doing all of this? Freedom. Since there's no rules, am I responsible for everything I do? Morality. My time is limited. Am I wasting all of this time of my life? Hello, LCW. Thanks for joining in, guys. Yeah, another example is isolation, right? I'm surrounded by people, but I feel fundamentally alone. Is there something wrong with me? That's the kind of thing we're talking about here, guys. Essentially, it's the moment your mind stops dealing with the day-to-day schedule and it starts grappling with these big, scary questions of the universe. It's a very common and human experience that we have. Hi, I don't know. Hi, Cool Vince. Nice to see you. Welcome. We're all gonna be panicking about how small and insignificant we are today. Welcome, Vicus. I'm glad you could join us this morning. How are you doing? Have you guys ever experienced any of this stuff? I'll give some more specific themes that you can experience in these existential crises. Oh, you think so? No. We are live. We have a lot of fun doing lives. It's a little bit more choppy, but I think that's kind of the appeal, right? Hi, Rizq, welcome. I don't know if you guys saw my most recent reel, but somebody wrote my name on an egg and they sent it to me on WhatsApp. And I was like, that's amazing. What a great compliment. It was so lovely and kind of random. That kind of thing I just love. Hi, Alfonza. Thank you for subscribing, Anna Will. I appreciate that. I am a qualifying psychotherapist in Canada. I do virtual therapy with people over here. And if you're interested in that sort of thing, if you're interested in improving mental health or just kind of understanding what it's all about, feel free to subscribe. It's your pleasure. Existential crises, Vicus. Have you ever heard of such a thing? Alfonso, thanks for the subscription. I really appreciate that. Welcome to our community. We have the best community on YouTube. Fun fact. Yeah. So, for example, a theme of existential crisis would be the big old death, right? Thinking about what happens after we die, that it's inevitable, that it's coming up, our time on this planet is finite, which means it's limited, sometimes brings this feeling of existential dread, right? We find a very common example of this is the midlife crisis. You know, once we're getting a little bit older, maybe we start to see the first signs of our aging. For me, maybe a few little gray hairs coming in, you know. You love donuts, I love donuts. Donuts make the existential dread go away, that's for sure. I am a therapist, yes I am. Another big existential crisis that can happen is a close near-death experience. So that's a fun one. Has anybody ever had that where they almost kicked the bucket a little too soon? For me personally, I don't think I've ever had a really near-death experience. I almost witnessed my sister getting trampled to death by a horse, so that was something. Oh, my hairbrush, I forgot it. That's okay. So yeah, I've been recently watching the show too. This is kind of what gave me the idea of doing Existential Crisis today, was watching Alice in Borderland. Has anybody here watched that show? It is a great show, and it's about, I don't want to spoil it though. Okay, spoilers warning if you haven't seen Alice in Borderland on Netflix. But basically, it is a show about people who have a near-death experience, and they go to this like world between life and death where they have to compete in these games, and if they die in the games they are straight up dead in the real world, but if they win the games it's a near-death experience. Like, for example, you had a heart attack, you get sent to the Borderlands, which is this world between life and death. You have to compete, and then either you're sent back into the regular world, you wake up from that near-death experience, or you simply pass on, right? So I hate that concept. I would really not enjoy going to this Borderlands because it's pretty brutal world. Like, the games that they have to play are absolutely like intense. Okay, I'm talking like they're battling each other, they have to like unalive each other and stuff. So yeah, that gave me a little bit of an existential crisis, thinking about, well, what if that was real? What if, you know, we have to do these games before passing on, and it's like super traumatizing and crazy. Of course, when the people wake up back in the real world, they don't remember any of it. But still, that kind of thing really makes me think about, you know, what is going on in that afterlife. So I'd love to hear from you guys. You know, what kind of things do you think about when you think of existential crisis, when you think about the afterlife? What emotion comes up for you? Some people find a lot of peace thinking about the afterlife, you know, if they're, again, everybody's beliefs are valid. Nobody knows for sure what happens after we go. So if you have a true deep faith, I respect that, right? So for example, some people find a lot of peace thinking about heaven, right? Because they think, okay, I have a lot of faith that that's real. Existential crisis averted because you have a lot of faith. But for some people, they really, really get stressed out thinking about, I don't know what's happening after we die. So where does that leave me? Fatality, I look like Liv Morgan. I don't know who that is. Yeah, it's so funny. A lot of people come on here and like compare me to other people looks wise, but I find like I don't really have a celebrity doppelganger. Some people were saying McKenna Grace, which is really, that's flattering because she's beautiful. Andrew M. has a fun fact for me. Horses can smell fear from 5 nautical miles away. Is that true? That's incredible. We're just talking existential crises. Fear and anxiety. Yeah, exactly. These moments of dread really bring up those feelings, doesn't it? It is a really interesting topic. Yeah, Alice in Borderland does a really good job of bringing up those feelings of existential dread for me, which I enjoy. Sometimes you don't want to avoid those discomforting feelings, right? Do I look like Terry Crews? I don't think so. Maybe the smile. The girl from Titanic, you think I look like her, sheep? Oh my gosh, that's really nice too. What's her name? Oh, I'm blanking so hard right now. Yeah, I can't remember. I'm your favorite YouTuber? Oh my gosh, thank you, Anna. That's really sweet of you. Oh. Yeah, fatality. You don't think we exist? Yeah, that's getting more philosophical, okay? When we say we don't exist, if you talk to a philosopher, which I had a good friend in university who was actually taking philosophy, and oh my gosh, talking to this guy. So interesting, but also breaks my brain a little bit because, yeah, he truly believed that, like, we don't really exist, you know? They take the concept of, oh, okay, there's a chair in front of you. How do you know that chair exists? But what if you don't exist? Then how do you know if the chair is there? The most common like philosophical thing we hear is like maybe we're all in a video game and we're gonna wake up, like that Matrix style thing, or we're just a brain in a vat that's dreaming, or we're just a speck of dust that somehow became conscious. If you look at the vastness of the universe, you know, perhaps we are. Maybe we're just a little speck of dust that accidentally became conscious, and now what? Maybe nothing matters. What are we, atoms? Exactly. I think it's better to differentiate both the lies because some people used to live in an imaginary world. But on the other hand, there's a social life as well, which we're going through at the moment. Yeah, very true. We're in the spirit and the soul train. That's kind of very poetic there, fatality. Yeah, exactly. And like even littler things can cause existential crises. Like, for example, when people retire, sometimes they have a big existential crisis about who am I without this job that I've been doing for 30 years. Like, that's such a big part of my identity that it's like, dang, who am I now, right? Sometimes it's when your kids move out. It's called the empty nest syndrome. Is you feel completely lost without that role as a parent anymore. Of course, you'll always be a parent, but that role is no longer a huge forefront for you. Kate Winslet. Yes. I personally don't see the Kate Winslet, but if you say so. The whole system fell apart from you by living like a nomad. Interesting. Fatality. What was living like a nomad like for you? I considered that when I was younger. I really wanted to do the whole nomadic living in BC. I wanted to like rent out an RV and just travel around. Never got the opportunity to, but I can see the appeal. Hi, Guts. How are you doing? We're all having a collective existential crisis. Please feel free to join in. Okay, so we talked about the theme of being unalive and whatnot. So let's move on to the theme of freedom and responsibility. That's another type of existential crisis. So, for example, you might be the type of person that like self-sabotages a lot, recognizing that you're constantly making choices that harm you and having to face the terrifying reality that you are responsible for sabotaging yourself, even though you don't know why you keep doing that. That's a hard one, right? I feel when I work with the clients who are self-sabotaging all the time, that's a difficult conversation to have. But once you're aware of it, that's the first step, right? So you can start to make those changes. And often what it is you're afraid to succeed. It's easier to just fail and not put yourself out there and take the chance, as opposed to taking that risk, right? So that's always a fun existential crisis to have. Oh my gosh, I was the saboteur the whole time. Let me catch up on the chat here. David, any kind of fact will do. You always come up with the best ones. Vitality says, when you have nothing, you get further towards the Zen. When you get isolated because of the sleep people around you. Huh. I'm not sure what you mean by that last part, but I completely understand the part where materialism comes into play when it comes to happiness, right? Because often, again, it's like we're trying to find a purpose in life. Sometimes we get sucked into the materialism of it all. Like, if I get this, then I will be happy. If I buy this, I will get happy. So sometimes having nothing really is, again, like a check. A little bit of a wake-up call. Hi, Matthew. Can you feel the rhythm of your voice going up and down when you talk, or do you not know you're doing it? Honestly, I have a bit of a sore throat right now, so that's all I'm thinking about, Matthew. Hi, End Farmer. I'm God's gift. Oh, that's nice. Maybe we all are, huh? William, you're gonna quit your job, break up with your girlfriend, have delusions of grandeur. Well, not for everybody, hey? Hi, Victor. It's very important to meditate. Self-realization can be extremely helpful to deal with existential crises. Oh my gosh. Once you say a word like several times, it just becomes like your brain kind of glitches a little bit. I keep wanting to say extinctual. That's not right. Hi, honey. Are you having an existential crisis right now? Feel free to join us in a collective one. Yeah, life is a wild ride, isn't it? Who's with me? Okay, Fatality's looking to gather up a nomadic crew. So feel free to join them, I guess, if you'd like. Yeah, ooh, we're floating in space because we're small and insignificant. Yeah, so we talked about the self-sabotage. The decision paralysis. So Chidi from The Good Place is a great example of this if you guys haven't seen that show. His character is basically a philosopher who gets stuck in choosing what to do next because he knows that there will be consequences to each choice. So he's got decision paralysis so badly that his life is like completely on standstill. You know, he can't decide what shoes to pick in the morning because of all the different impacts the choice of the shoes might have. So he's like basically torturing himself the whole time by just like trying to make these decisions and not being able to because of thinking ahead of what the impact might have. And that I would consider existential crisis. The more you know. Identifying these crises is good because then you can use the techniques that I'm going to talk about later on how to fix them. Just passing through, Jamie. Very good. Are you going to join the nomadic group that we are all in now? Going to follow the disc golf pro tour. That would be fun. If I was going to be like a nomadic person, who would I follow? I wouldn't go anywhere. I mean, some people follow around musicians. That's kind of fun. They just like drive cross country and keep going to the same person's concert. Yeah, honey, we're talking existential crises. Basically, what they are is when you're having like these big questions about your existence, that really kind of boggle your brain. Like, for example, how the universe is so insanely big. Does anything that I do matter? That's just one example. All right. Of course, let's do the next theme, which is meaninglessness, which is the burnout breakthrough. It's when you are working relentlessly for external success, like money and status, achieving it, only to realize that it is empty of personal meaning, causing a total breakdown of purpose, right? If you keep telling yourself, I will be happy when I finally achieve this big goal, and you work, and you finally get it, and guess what? You're still not happy. Womp womp. What do you do at that point, right? What is it all for? Fricola, you don't think the universe exists? Maybe not, huh? Maybe not. We don't know. Nothing can be confirmed for sure. Gabriel, do I feel happy or sad talking about it? Yeah, I think it puts me in a nice melancholy headspace where you're just thinking, what a crazy world we live in. What a wonderful thing it is that we don't know all the big answers. I think life would be pretty boring if we knew all of the answers. Let's have a little mystery. Let's have a little curiosity, right? If somebody came down and told us all the answers of the universe, then I would definitely have an existential crisis. Because it's like, well, we know everything. Now what do we strive for, huh? Oh, David, did you say your fact of the day? Sorry, I missed it. Okay, the fact of the day, cars were made in 1886. Thank you, that's a good fact of the day. What are you talking about? That's around when Coca-Cola was invented, if I'm not mistaken. Was that the same year? That's pretty wild. Hi, honey. No worries. Scary Larry. Amazing name. That kind of looks like... Your picture looks like the guy from Gorilla. What is the point of this live? I'm not trying to sound mean or anything. Sorry. We're just explaining what an existential crisis is, how to identify it, and then at the very end I'm going to talk about skills on how to overcome the old existential crisis. Vicus says, every soul has to return back to the extreme power someday, leaving physical body here on earth. So more simply, we all shouldn't take things too seriously. Just be happy and satisfied. Yeah, Vicus, that's one way of looking at it, right? Who knows? I'd like to think if I could choose, I would just be a little floating soul, I could float around the universe. That would be nice. Maybe there's like a special place for all the souls to hang out. You see everybody. And yeah, there's so many different theories, right? Like our souls get reincarnated or they go off somewhere and you can watch the world. Oh yeah, I was right, huh? That's the gorillas. Love those guys. Whenever I hear a Gorillaz song, I think of the time I lived in England because they were very popular while I was there. The light at the end of the tunnel is a soul trap. Don't go towards the light if you're not ready to go, guys. I think that's one thing we've learned. That's for sure. Yeah. And then, okay, the one thing to really look out for too is called the apathy trap. That's when you get stuck in this feeling that nothing matters and that effort is pointless, leading to an inability to invest in anything. Like that big question of, if the universe has no inherent meaning, then why should I bother, right? That's a tricky one. I've had some people come to my therapy sessions who are looking to overcome that big one. That takes some time, right? It's like, it is that really invasive feeling of, okay, nothing matters. Gabriel, you just turned 29 yesterday. What about the 30s crisis? Yeah, the old midlife crisis. You missed it. We were talking about that. That's very much an existential crisis, where it's like, have I been wasting my time? I only have a certain finite time left in my life, so how am I going to bring meaning to that? Which kind of gets us wrapped back up into something called existential therapy. Fun fact, guys, there's an actual therapy named after this to help people overcome these crazy feelings, right? Which we call the existential struggle. You're not struggling with a single problem, it's the basic facts of being a human. And, you know, there's no pre-written script of your life, right? You are completely free as far as we know. Therefore, completely responsible for the choices we make. That time is limited and that you have to create your own meaning. And that's the mind-boggling part. You have to decide what is meaningful to you. And people find it in all sorts of different things. Some people find meaning in, you know, family, making sure that your family is there, connection with family. Some people find meaning in cars. They love cars. They're gonna do car stuff to the day they die, and that's the meaning that they've decided is important for them. There's no wrong answer. It can be whatever you like, as silly or as profound as you wish. Where people live, where you live, people don't know what a planet or a galaxy is. Honey, where do you live? Do they not have a good education system there? Sam, me after I read Albert Camus. Oh, I don't know who Albert Camus is. Is that a philosopher? Amara, thank you. My hair does not want to get straight today. She's a little frizzy. That's alright. Doesn't have to be perfect, guys, right? We do the best that we can. Yeah, so a lot of people try to run away from these realities. They try to fill their life with constant busy work, you know, social media scrolling, external validation, just to avoid the quiet knowledge that they are completely in charge. But when you stop running and kind of go into that feeling of existential crisis, you know, it's okay to face your freedom and the limited time that you have with courage and intention, right? Intention being a really important word here. Bye, Gabriel. Thanks for joining in. Not real world, it is luck. Only luck. Whoa, that's deep. I love hearing everybody's different opinions on, you know, where this kind of existential crisis has been affecting them. And yeah, so I think we've gotten to the point where I'm going to start talking about what to do about these feelings, right? We do this thing in therapy called the choice ledger. This tool is directly combats the feeling of having to do things, right? When you're feeling really stuck in your life, next time you find yourself complaining, I have to work, I have to pick up the kids, you change that feeling to I choose to. That slight differential in the way that you're thinking can make a big difference. You can even write down 10 things that you have to do tomorrow and then rewrite the entire list with I choose to do these things. This simple shift kind of reminds you that even mundane tasks are rooted in your conscious choices and values, reasserting your power in your life. And people often make jokes about this, right? They say, oh, I suddenly remembered I have free will. And you see those really funny videos of them, like doing something completely random. Like they start drawing on the walls. Or I remember I have free will, and they like take a bite of their pizza backwards. That kind of thing. It's like you do have the conscious choices, and that's where you're starting to unlock that power of reinstating control in your life, no matter how small. Fatality, you have the fear of dying forever. Yeah, that's a pretty common one. It's something that we all have to address, especially when we get older, right? It's like, I find a lot of people start to really lean into religion, especially when they get older, because they're trying to find comfort in what's going to inevitably happen. Hi, Crisco. How are you doing? Yeah, and then let's talk about the morality mentor. This is a fun little trick that I use too. And this is talking about, we're talking about the fear of death, right? And this tool really brings big life choices clarity. So if you're younger now, I don't think we have anybody tooled in this chat. Feel free to shout it out if you're like over 80 or 60 or something. But basically, you can ask this mentor, you can imagine yourself at like 100 years old, okay? And this older version of yourself is looking back on your life, okay? You can ask this mentor, in 10 years, will I regret not doing this? The certainty of your limited time then changes from a source of dread, but a source of focus. It's saying, I want to live my life to the fullest. What will this older version of myself direct me to do to live my life to the fullest, right? And I can envision that now, old Jorb, old me, a nice little rocking chair, all wrinkly, giving me some sound advice. Can you guys imagine yourselves at 90 or 100? I'm sure with all the technology, maybe you could even make a little photo of that person to remind you of this wise mentor you always have connection to. Everyone's getting older, that's right. Honey, you're in Panama? Wow, that's really cool. I think you're the first person from Panama who's joined our conversation, so welcome. That's really exciting. Or India. Yeah. I like India. I've never been, but I'd like to go. Panama I'd like to go to as well. I remember it being in the movie, what's it called? I think it's like Breakout or something, where they break out of the jail. I don't think that's the right name, but it's like a very simple name of like, Prison Break. That's the one. Love a Prison Break. That actor, Schofield, he was so cool. Yeah. Having a role model too can be really helpful to understand the values of your life. It's like, oh, why do I like this person so much? Let's figure out what exactly it is and go from there. For example, Doctor Who, one of my big role models, he's just a cool, traveling guy. He's not perfect, but he tries his best. Sachin, welcome back. Good morning. How are you doing? I hope you're having a great day. Purple Monkey Dishwasher. Oh, yeah. Are you talking about Prison Break? Oh my gosh. Yeah, 2 seasons were amazing and then it sort of went downhill from there. Agreed. Death is just a phase. It is just part of a journey towards the supreme power. Yeah, could be. Could very much be. Oni96, who is my favorite version of the Doctor? Gotta say David Tennant. He was the best. Christopher Eccleston was also amazing. What Doctor did last see in Doctor Who? So I've definitely fallen off the bandwagon a little bit. I've just been really busy. So Peter Capaldi, I didn't see too much of. I saw a few episodes, like the dinosaur one. Then when it turned into The Girl Doctor, I watched a few of those episodes, but then again, just busy. Fell off. And then I watched a few of the newest seasons with Neil Patrick Harris in them, and David Tennant returns, so of course I have to watch those. And yeah, so I'm gonna have to catch up again because you guys know what happens with the whole Rose Tyler situation. No spoilers, but yeah. David was an absolute classic. Can't fault you. How about you guys? What's your favorite Doctor? Please tell me. Which line am I supposed to say, David? Allons-y. See, yeah, I bet David Tennant. Actually, Doctor Who has a lot of existential crises, okay? He constantly has them because he's like pretty close to immortal. And he's got to live his life with people dying constantly close to him. And he feels responsible a lot of the time. So that always, you can tell it weighs heavily on him. I think Doctor Who would do well to go to some therapy. Do a little existential crisis training. Oh, you like the War Doctor, Purple Monkey Dishwasher? That's pretty cool. Yeah, he was interesting, wasn't he? Oh, I love the Christmas specials of Doctor Who. Those are always my favorite. Oni96. I think David was the most iconic, but I personally think Peter was the best actor. An interesting portrayal, if that makes sense. Sure. Yeah. Oh yeah, I know John Hurt. He was great in it. Yeah, I gotta watch Peter Capaldi again. Give him a real chance, okay? I only seen maybe like 2 or 3 of his episodes. Yeah, David Tennant though. He was my childhood. I think I was in England when they started, like they rebooted it. And I remember being so scared of like the Christopher Eccleston. Oh my gosh, the one with the face mask. He's like, "Are you my mommy?" Oh my god, I could not. That was so scary. Sachin, I do not see TV nowadays. That's okay. Honestly, yeah, I need to stop watching so much TV. I try to do my best, keep it balanced, right? It's like you don't want to cut off things completely if you enjoy them. It's all about finding the balance. I think I got a pretty good balance going on right now. I love these live chats. These keep me motivated to like wake up in the morning and get everything organized quickly. Yeah, the gas mask children. Oh, that was so creepy. And then the kid was so cute when he finally took his gas mask off. I do remember that. Yeah, exactly. If TV makes you happy, nothing wrong with that. It's checking in with yourself and just deciding, am I using this as like a full escape from my life? If that's the case, then maybe there's some things I need to work on. Or if you're just enjoying it, then that's great. Yeah, we talked a little bit about the creating meaning in our life, right? We can use Doctor Who kind of as an example here, which is like, stop searching for some grand singular meaning of life out there and start creating it in here, right, within. So you map out your personal legacy in these 3 areas, right? So firstly, how you want to be seen in this world. Often people want to be seen as having integrity and being kind. The other question you can ask yourself is, how do I want to impact the world? You know, like, what do I want to leave behind? Is it going to be through work, through volunteering, through community, through art? And lastly, how you want to treat yourself. That's huge. Do you want self-respect? Do you want to feel confident? Do you want to prioritize rest? Asking these 3 questions, you're kind of mapping out the meaning that you want to put towards your life. What's important to you. David Tennant is 6'2" 3/4. I didn't know that. I knew he was very tall and skinny. Was he my childhood crush? Yes. And still is, maybe. Yeah, he's a handsome man. Sachin, yes, socializing is important to keep afloat with the world around you. Yeah, socializing can be. For some people, I've met people who are completely content not socializing whatsoever. So that is an option, but a lot of people do get lonely eventually. Oh, you like my mug? Oh, there we go. You get 1 therapy point if you know who this is. Anybody? Everyone who is born has to die someday, but the thing is that matters most to live your life happily and do good deeds. Absolutely. Yeah, if that's what gives you value, that what makes you feel meaningful, then that's what you do. This gives me a lot of meaning. Going on these lives and talking to people, I love that. It's a great start to my morning because you guys always have such interesting insights. Oh, no therapy points for you, Ani. That's okay. We can't always get the therapy points. Okay. Let me try to do... Oh my gosh. I got my hair straightener on here. I'm trying not to burn myself. Because I don't know if you guys have ever been burned by a hair straightener. It is freaking painful. I didn't get the best sleep last night, so I'm going to try to cover up these little dark circles under my eyes. There we go. Oh, guess what? For those of you who are around for the Halloween live that I did, my mom came to me afterwards and was like, oh yeah, I watched your Halloween live. And I was like, Mom, please stop watching my lives. But also thank you for the support. Shout out to my mom if you're watching. The king from Madagascar. The king from Madagascar? Are you talking about the lemur? Yeah, I know. I'm getting to my mascara, Vicus. That's always the last thing I do, typically. Thanks, Ani. Okay. Let us do a little perfume. Yeah, if you've never tried this, guys, a lot of fun that I've been doing recently is looking up the scent profile of perfumes. It's so interesting. I'm trying to get better at like sniffing them out. You know how people taste wine and they're like, oh, I taste hints of apple and I don't know, sticks. Well, I've been doing that with perfumes. Like if you look it up, the scent profile of certain perfumes, it'll actually tell you exactly what they make it to smell like, I guess, or like specific things that they put in there. So, yeah, this one is my favorite of all time. If you guys want to know what I smell like, it's Alien by Mugler. This is my absolute favorite scent of all time. It's delicious. The King of Madagascar. No, oh, on my cup. No, 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 it's not that. Tico, is it normal to suffer from extreme depersonalization during an existential crisis? Yeah, I would say that it can definitely happen. I don't think it's common, but it can happen because you're trying to process these big life questions, right? And people handle that differently. We hear of like the midlife crises that happen. You know, people end up buying a sports car or whatever. That's their way of dealing with the true possibility, reality that we're all limited time only subscription to this world. I'm getting to it, Vicus. Don't worry. The person on my cup is actually from a children's book called Where the Wild Things Are. Yeah, it's a really great book. Aiden, we could talk about addiction maybe in a different live. I would be happy to talk about that kind of thing, but we're talking existential crisis in this live. So stay tuned, okay? Do certain perfumes help with hypnosis, do you think? I would be interested in your perspective as a hypnotherapist. I mean, smells are really interesting, guys, because they can certainly be used to trigger memories and feelings and emotions. So, for example, whenever I smell like a really nice smell of Chanel number 5, I know that that's the smell of my mom. Like, she always wore that, so I think of her when I smell it. And sometimes I smell something that like brings me right back to like a childhood memory. Like my grandparents had a kind of small hobby farm, so like specific smell of like a type of wood burning. I'm like, oh, that really smells like my grandparents' house. Even just talking about it, I can kind of smell it right now. Isn't that funny? You guys have any specific scents that you really like? Feel free to share. I'd love to hear it. So interesting how triggering that can make, huh? I know when one of my family members joins my live, I can't. It's like I wouldn't be able to concentrate knowing. Actually, one of my friends joined the live too. That was pretty funny. Again, like I appreciate the support. Anybody's welcome to join, but I just feel a little shy when somebody I personally know joins in. Oh, my mom was laughing at during the stream. I was like, if the purge was happening, I'd go break into a museum and I'd steal a dinosaur skull for my kitchen table. And maybe I'd get like a nice crown or something to wear on my live streams. You know us Brits, we love to take people's stuff. Yes! Oh, you recognize it, Oni. That's great. Yeah, that's a really great little story. Here, I'll show it again. For those of you who haven't read it, this little boy's named Max. He kind of dreams about going to a place where the wild things are, and he just parties. He's the king of the wild things. What dinosaur would I get? If you guys have ever seen the show The Last Man on Earth, that's one of my absolute favorite shows. It is a riot. Yeah, they have this ginormous, basically the guy's the last person on Earth, so he can do whatever he wants. So what he does is he takes like a ginormous Tyrannosaurus Rex skull and he just like has it in the middle of his living room. So I think he put it on his dining table maybe. So that inspired me. I was like, yes, that's probably what I would also do if no rules applied. The Last Man on Earth, though, unfortunately got canceled before they could do their, big finale, which is heartbreaking because it is just so, so funny. Oh, Sachin, you don't like perfumes? That's okay. I know some people's perfumes can be quite overpowering. Exactly, I know. Oh, my mom. She's great. I appreciate the support for sure. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm done my makeup. If anybody has any kind of last questions, comments, concerns about existential crisis, feel free to throw them out now. Oh, yeah. Thank you. I do love a good mascara. I think even just putting on mascara alone adds a lot to the look, You love my glasses? These glasses are Versace. I got the little Medusa on the side. I got them on sale, so I thought I'd splurge a little bit on them. Glasses are something I think are okay to splurge on because they're on your face every single day. So it's good to kind of be picky and save up for a good pair, Anyways, guys, I hope this this video doesn't send you in too bad of an existential crisis. Just remember that, it's true. We have limited time, but we also have freedom in what we choose to do. So let's make it count and leave this world better than the way we left it, huh? Oh, the shape of my eyes, yeah. I know. I should have. Everybody makes fun of me because I left them really thick. You can get the thinner lenses put in, but I kind of like the big Coke bottle glasses. I think they're fun. Last thing to say, Easter West Joe's live is best. Oh, that rhymes. I'm glad you had a great time. Oh, you guys are great. Again, if you guys are part of the community, feel free to subscribe. You can join my membership if you'd like to add a little extra support. What else? Yeah, if you guys have any ideas for future videos, feel free to let me know and we could do something. I do hypnosis videos. I like to talk about tips and tricks of things that I do in therapy sessions, so that's kind of the vibe of my channel. And of course, we do lives every weekday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, guys, take care, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.